All right, let's pull back the curtain on the tech that pretty much runs our entire lives. Today, we're going to unlock the digital world and figure out how these information systems really work. I mean, from the very beginning. You know, just think about your day. You've probably used tons of these systems already, and you didn't even think twice about it, right? But here's the thing. Behind every single tap on your phone, every click of the mouse, every single transaction, there's this powerful and honestly surprisingly simple logic that makes it all happen. So what is it? Let's find out. Okay, so it all starts with the basic ingredients. Before we can even begin to understand a system, we've got to understand how we get from just raw, meaningless facts to something powerful, something we can actually use. And it's a journey, really, a journey with 3 crucial steps. So right at the very bottom of everything, you've got data. Think of this as the absolute raw material. Like imagine a giant pile of bricks. What are they? Well, they're just bricks. They don't have a purpose. They don't tell a story. Data is exactly like that. It's just stuff. I mean, look at these numbers on the screen. 161.2, 175.3. What is that? Is it money? Is it how far something is? Temperatures? Who knows? Without any context, they're totally meaningless. They're just noise. And that is data in its purest, most basic form. Okay, but here's where the magic really starts to happen. In the very next step, we take that useless data and we turn it into information. And how do we do that? It's simple, really. We just add context. We give it meaning. It's like taking that random pile of bricks and suddenly having a blueprint for a house. All of a sudden, those bricks have a purpose. And check this out. Here's that transformation happening right now. The second we add the context, the heights of 3 students in centimeters, boom, those random numbers just snap into focus. They're not just numbers anymore, they're information. We've officially gone from meaningless noise to actual meaning. But wait, we're not done yet. We can actually take it one level higher. The final and most powerful level is knowledge. This is where you take that useful information and you actually apply it. You use it to make a decision or to solve a problem. It's not just about knowing what the numbers mean. It's about knowing what to do with them. Going back to our analogy, this is where you actually build the house. So by looking at our information, that list of heights, we can create knowledge. We can say something useful like the tallest student in the class is 175.3 centimeters. See? We can make a clear statement. We can answer a question. We've just completed the whole journey, all the way from a totally random number to a genuinely useful fact. Okay, that's pretty cool. So now we get how meaning is made. But what's the thing that actually does all the work? Well, that brings us to our next huge idea, the system. Think of this as the engine that takes all those ingredients, the data, the information, and actually does something with it. When you get right down to it, a system is really just a bunch of different parts, like a team, all working together for one common goal. And that goal is always the same. Take something in, do something to it, and then spit something new out at the end. And listen, this is not just a tech thing. I mean, think about it. The human body is a system, right? You got your heart, your lungs, your brain. They're all different parts, but they're all working together to keep you alive. Or what about a car? The engine, the wheels, the steering, all working towards one goal, getting you from point A to point B. It is the exact same idea. All right, so we know what a system is. Now, let's get to the really cool part. We're going to look at the simple, universal blueprint, the secret recipe, if you will, that powers every single system out there. And I mean everything, from the simplest little machine to the most mind-bendingly complex software. And here it is, it all comes down to 3 little words: input, process, output. Seriously, that's it. This simple little cycle is the fundamental logic behind, well, everything. Something goes in, it gets changed or transformed, and a new result comes out. Let's make this super real with an example you'll definitely get. Okay, forget about computers for just a second. Let's talk about a rice cooker. Yeah, a rice cooker. It's the perfect example of a simple system that we can all wrap our heads around. And you'll see it follows that exact same logic we just talked about. So you see how it works? The input, that's just the raw ingredients, right? The uncooked rice and the water. The process, well, that's what the machine does. It heats up, creates steam, cooks for a certain amount of time. And the output? Perfectly cooked rice. Input, process, output. See? Super simple. Okay, that was easy enough. Now, let's take that exact same blueprint and apply it back to the tech we started with, the ATM. Now, I know an ATM seems way more complicated than a rice cooker, but you're about to see that the logic underneath it all is pretty much identical. So what's the input? It's your bank card and your PIN number. That's the data you're giving the machine. And the process? Well, the machine connects to the bank's network, it makes sure you are who you say you are, and it checks your account balance. And then finally, the output, the cash you wanted, and a little receipt. It's the same input, process, output cycle, just, with different pieces.
So now we totally get the blueprint. To wrap things up, let's pop the hood and look at the actual parts that make up a modern computer-based system. There are really only 5 key components you need to know about.
And here they are. First, you've got hardware. That's all the physical stuff you can touch, the computer, the screen, the ATM itself. Then, software. Those are the programs, the instructions that tell the hardware what to do. Next up is data. We already know all about that. That's our raw material. Then there's the network, which is just how everything talks to each other. And last, but honestly, maybe the most important one, people. Yeah, because the people part is actually made up of 2 different groups. On one hand, you've got the end users. That's you and me. We're the ones standing at the ATM or ordering food on an app. But then you've got the IS specialists. These are the programmers, the designers, the people who actually build and maintain and operate the whole thing behind the scenes. You absolutely need both for the system to work. Okay, so we have covered a ton of ground here. We went from data all the way up to knowledge, we learned about the simple input process output cycle, and we just broke down the 5 core parts of a system. So let's bring it all together and talk about why any of this actually matters. Because this isn't just some textbook theory, right? This is the invisible blueprint for our entire modern world. That banking app on your phone, the massive global system that makes sure planes don't crash into each other, even the website you use to sign up for classes, they are all, every single one of them, built on these exact same, super simple principles we just walked through. So now you have the key. You can literally look at any digital system you come across and understand how it works. You can see the flow from input to output. You can spot the different components. And you get that journey from raw data to real knowledge. You can see the blueprint behind the screen. So the only question left is, now that you know how it works, what problems are you going to solve with it?